Hi guys, it's Grace.
What's up, guys? It's Lorea.
And we're the Indigos. And Lorea is in LA. I'm in Australia, Melbourne. And you know what's really great is how life works. And I've actually recently connected to this girl via Twitter, and she's with Lorea right now.
You guys ready? Say hi.
And they don't know each other or anything.
I
So I love how the world of technology connects everybody to each other. So anyway, so today we're going to talk about you can take it away, Ray. Hurting people hurting
today
people.
today the subject is about people hurting people, and that conversation came up because we were in the car. We were talking about all the things that go on in life, and basically the whole concept or idea of talking about people hurting people came from seeing Cheyenne had witnessed a guy hitting a girl. And obviously, that's always a really, really heavy subject. But coming from the spiritual place of being the witness, sometimes people receive that in the sense of they'll look at the guy and just think of the concept and idea that he's a horrible person, he's a monster, but they don't look at what led up to that action and why people act the way they do. In this type of situation, for me, my first reference when it comes to people that do irrational things, violent things, anything that's not of love is a cry out for love. And basically when I look at that, it's looking at the underlying tone of what someone is dealing with. When someone's yelling at you, screaming, whatever, are they talking about the subject, or is it really that they've been hurt and disappointed, and for some reason you're the person that's poured out into that moment from everything that's happened in
Mm,
life? Doesn't justify the actions, but if you get to a place in a core of where people are, sometimes it can serve as a better understanding of how to handle the situation. And people hurting people, I was explaining that yes, it's a rough situation when you see someone being abused, but when you look at the situation, sometimes the person that's being abused hasn't been tired of being abused because they're still in that situation, so they're still in their toxic environment because they're not ready to get out of it. You have to have a breaking point, and that person hasn't met it. And also, when you're looking at the person that's physically doing the hurt, the damage, they're the most broken of the situation. They're the one that broke because
yeah.
their actions are now
Well,
showing.
it's a projection, right? It's the projection of the person and why they're doing that. That's exactly what you're saying. Is like they're coming from a place of hurt and they're projecting it onto that other person, the recipient of it.
Yeah, and not to say this is me speaking on this and giving you my perspective isn't saying I justify any form of violence or abuse, because I understand it from a firsthand experience, and I can say that it is not a great, beautiful place to be in. It's very, very hard to deal with. But when you're in the situation, you have to open up and look at it from all aspects of why it's happening, what's going on. And sometimes I'm not saying sympathize with the person by dealing with it or being the emotional punching bag that's dealing with the situation firsthand, but I am saying to have better enlightenment and understanding of what's going on, to look at the person,
Mm.
why they do what they do, and what brought them to that
Yeah.
moment.
And I mean, obviously you're talking about a physical situation here, but like there's many forms of people hurting people, like emotional hurt, mental hurt, and you see it all the time. Even when you see people bitching about each other, that's a form of hurt too. Why are people bitching about each other? What's in it for them?
Sorry, I got excited. Can I say something? Because this bothers me, Grace. Freaking pisses me off. So, friends talk to each other and they call each other bitch. That shit drives me crazy because it's a subconscious verbal abuse. Because I don't care how you want to rename it and rework it as a word of endearment. When you look at the initial
Yeah,
initial
no.
point of why it's used, I don't think
Yeah,
that that's okay. I don't speak to people that way that I love. If I'm using the word bitch, it's because I'm literally I'm talking to you in the way that it was used. You're being a bitch. Not, oh, you're my best friend. That's
yeah.
crazy. And that bothers me so much, down to the N word. And we'll get on that subject a whole nother day because I really have a problem with that word. I'm uncomfortable with
So
it.
do I.
I don't care how
I
many times
totally, I
it's brought
totally
up,
think it's
it doesn't
yeah,
make it brotherly love. Call that person
yeah. I
your
just
sister. Something that's original form was something of endearment. Why do we have to readapt? And I don't even get into that. That's going to be a whole nother subject. But the point is, when you're saying people hurt each other, it's not always poster colors, which is red, yellow, blue. Sometimes it's secondary colors. It's underlined things that happen, and that bothers me. So when you're saying it comes in different forms, being verbally abusive is an extension of that. And it's not okay when you're looking at the vibration, and people have to be a little more conscious of the vibrations that they're putting out because they don't realize what they're doing. And that is horrible. You know, you have family members. I know I've been places where, like, I go home, my mother's like, man, you're getting fat. Excuse me. Don't say that. That's not nice. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I have this all the time with my father as well. Like we have a bit of a toxic relationship, and that's, I mean, we've covered a bit of stuff about toxic relationships, but you know, it's the same thing. It comes in different forms, and you know, you don't actually feel good anyway when you hurt somebody. You know, why do you want to feel shit anyway? Like, as a person, you know, vibrate on your highest self possible. That will always make you feel better. So like the intention of hurting someone, going out there deliberately to hurt somebody, it just is a reflection upon yourself. And it actually, you know, is an energetic force that actually makes you dull down your highest potential. So it doesn't serve anybody.
But you got to also acknowledge that when people do that, when people are hurt, energy is naturally taken from them. So I feel like a lot of times on a subconscious level, people are trying to regenerate that energy. And sometimes being verbally abusive, hurting people, taking their energy is gaining more energy, but it's stopping your growth and evolution. So in the long run,
evolution, exactly. Transcendent.
So happening on a very like momentary, something that's happening in the present moment, but it's not a long-term effect where it's like, okay, I've hurt you for 2 seconds because I felt like there's always, in a dynamic, there's always someone that wins and loses, point blank period, unless you're coming from a higher state of consciousness where it can always be understood and exchanged, where people have to feel like they're the more empowered person. So when you're doing that and you're projecting that hurt, you have to really look at your actions. I always tell people, check your mindset, check your actions.
Yeah,
where you're
100%, because exactly. And you know, you are a reflection of all of this stuff. So, you know, set the precedents for your life. Set the precedents. What is it? What type of person do you want to be? You know, and like, what sort of merits do you want to stand by? What sort of morals do you want to stand by? What is your choice as a human being? And I know my choice. My choice is I don't want to go out there intentionally to hurt other people. It actually hurts me. It hurts my spirit. And I don't want to, because I want to use every moment I can to elevate myself and to be my highest potential in this lifetime that I have. I have only a moment in time to just be the best. So what's that?
Also, Grace, sorry, but remember, saying that, Grace, you've also surrendered to your true self. So when you're saying that, you're saying from a clear slate of not dealing, like not being a victim of hurt and pain, where you can say, I want to be my true self. It hurts me to do this, because you've uncovered all the layers of why people do what they do, and you got to the core of what you really want. You know, like people really want love, and yet they come with all this armor to protect themselves. So you push all the hurt and disappointment and pain away. So you're speaking from an elevated place where there is no baggage in that way. So you don't have to
and so that's what we're exactly, and that's our, like, about us, like, you know, what we're doing here, sharing perspectives, is to help us elevate ourselves and each one of us, whoever's listening, you know. And that's why we're all setting the intention and the precedents to, like, go, is it really necessary to hurt people? Why? We've got some viewers here. Hi, guys. Why do we want to go out there intentionally to hurt people? You know, so I think it does come down to reflections. What is it that we want to set for our life in terms of our morals and our ethics and who we want to become, and really regard that as the way that we live by? Because I know that you and I, you know, we've gone through some stuff, and we've, you know, been able to transcend into different space to forgive as well. And forgiveness is a huge part of the hurting as well, like to forgive and to move to transcend further. But, you know, I think that, you know, ultimately, you know, there's different forms of hurt, and you have to look at yourself as well, like what sort of person you want to be.
Can we talk about the forgiveness aspect? Because
Yeah.
when you brought it up, it's the first thing I thought of is what my grandmother told me, how I got to a space of forgiveness. I was talking to my grandma one day. I was really upset about people and their actions, you know, and sometimes when we're upset, we naturally like to make people pay because it's an energy thing. You feel like energy's taken from you, so you try and regenerate it. And that's why people can be vindictive, right? So I was in
Mm.
a space where someone had hurt someone I loved, which was my grandmother. And I was like, I don't forgive them. They can never speak to me again. I'm going off, going crazy. My grandmother starts laughing at me, and she's just like, and because I'm upset because she's so forgiving. I've never met someone that's just like, I forgive you. It doesn't matter. Like, she's a person that you could throw her in the mud and you say I'm sorry, or you don't even say sorry. She's like, clean slate tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. She doesn't hold anything against you or over your head, right? And I was trying to get to a space like, I can't forgive them because they've hurt you, because I loved her. And the thing that she said to me was, sweetheart, you don't forgive them. You're not forgiving them. You're doing it because of your understanding and pact you have with God. And this has nothing to do with them. This has to do with your relationship and what you promised you would do. And being forgiven is one of those things. So you're not
Yeah.
forgiving, you're just elevating yourself to be that person. So it really, they're just playing out how you can elevate. And like when my
Mm.
grandmother told me that, everything changed because I was like, oh, like she put it in a space where it's not for them. And it's true. When you're being
Mm.
forgiven, first of all, like my favorite thing to say is, what you practice becomes a habit, and what your habit that you practice becomes innate and natural. It
Yeah.
becomes second nature to you. So to when you practice forgiveness, at some point you don't practice anymore. It's just a part of your life. And that's what changed for me. And I don't know, everyone has their different ways of getting to a place of forgiveness, but that got me to the road of clearing up all the baggage, in which you were talking about, from the space of being
Yeah.
clear with no, you know, energies and baggage. And so the forgiveness is the biggest part, like you stated. Grace,
It's
we need to talk
huge.
about it. You're
I,
picking
I, I
what
say, I quite often say that forgiveness is the most important virtue. I think it's like one of the most important virtues you can have. You can forgiving yourself and then forgiving others is
no.
so vital.
I mean, it's one of the ways that you can make love and action intangible, by showing that.
Mm.
And I learned that because I watched my grandmother, where I was like, it made I didn't want to be forgiving because she was too forgiving. Whereas like people could do things and she wouldn't hold anything over their head. But then I realized it's because she embodies love to a place that I haven't been able to comprehend yet. And I like to think I'm very progressive in that way. But it was basically all her actions were really just be creating love and making it tangible. So she was never just saying
Yeah.
it, you know? And you have to watch
Well,
those type of.
I mean, that's such an important part of the healing process when people hurt people is that forgiveness. And like, I mean, you and we're going to hurt people for the rest of our lives. Like,
Yeah,
but but it can be in small ways, big ways, whatever. But
anything.
it's
Yeah,
a
you never really
human. It's yeah, and it's a human existence. So we have to be able to forgive ourselves for hurting people as well, so that we can transcend as well to a higher space where we're just like, if we can forgive ourselves, we can forgive other people as well.
Oh, for sure. That's very important. And even getting to a place where you can right your wrongs, even when you're dealing with that type of hurt. I always tell people, like, the easiest way to help someone with the healing is owning up to what you've done, whatever that
Yeah.
is. If you're the person that is hurting someone, owning up to it and not avoiding it. Sometimes people like to give space. Oh, I won't talk to that person. They'll forget and then I'll come back. No, people do that a lot.
It
Sometimes
will
people.
always resurface.
What'd you say?
It will always resurface. You can't
Yeah.
avoid it.
So sometimes the best way to deal with that healing or assist the person that you've hurt is by saying, you know what, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Can we make it better? Or what can I do?
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't say that either. They're not brave enough to say,
Yeah.
hey, I hurt you. What could I do to make it better? And
Yeah.
those gestures open up a gate of forgiveness, because you're allowing someone to be open and vulnerable with you because you've seen that you've done something wrong and you want to fix it. I think a lot of people in this world, if we just got to a space where we said, hey, I messed up, how can I fix it?
Yeah.
Would shift on so many different levels. And so if you
Man,
are
it's just, you
that's
know what
hurting,
it is, and it's a practice. It's practicing
it,
letting the ego go, because all that stops us is our ego. That's
Yeah.
all that stops us from actually admitting wrong is our ego, and thinking that we, you know, don't need to forgive, or we don't need to say I'm sorry or whatever, you know, and it's just our ego. So if we can separate the fact that, you know, we have these egos, separate ourselves and just go, actually, you know what, it would make me feel a lot better if I was to forgive the person that hurt me, then, you know, we're so much better species because of it. We have such an incredible species. We can communicate in ways that we can verbalize and actually show emotion in the context of our conversations and everything. So, you know, let's just be better people. Stop hurting one another. Say sorry. Forgive.
Yeah, and just acknowledge it. When something happens, just own it and deal with it as it comes. And then when you get to a space where maybe you're hurting someone, literally looking at what you've been through and sorting that out so that you can move forward. Because even that, when you're in a space where you're still hurting someone, you're really stopping your own growth. And you got to clear that up at some point, play catch up, where you can say, you know what, I have been through these things, I've been hurt, I've been disappointed, but I'm so much more than that, and I have so much more potential to elevate from those circumstances. You aren't your experiences, you're so much more than that. They just play a part of who you are. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Grace.
No,
I saw the little finger go up. You were like,
no, I'm like, okay, we should probably wrap it up.
okay, sorry guys, we kind of went places because obviously we've both been hurt 10 times
Well,
over.
everybody, you know what?
But you know,
exactly, we're all human.
I lie to you.
Say what? Say that again.
I said we've been dragged through the mud.
Oh man, we've been dragged through the mud, thrown off the edge.
It's life. You know, everything, every fiber,
it's life.
all it. So it's okay.
Life.
We forgive. It's fine. Things happen.
It's life, and we have to forgive. We have to forgive ourselves. That I've got to forgive myself for shit that I've done, and everybody has to forgive each other.
Tell me about it. We're all trying to figure it out. Remember, life, we're all just freestyling.
we're all freestyling life.
Right? So everyone needs to get their life.
Get their life.
Get your bars, your verses. Get them right. I'm just kidding. But I always say that to you, Grace. Get your life, Grace. Get your life.
Get your life. Everybody has to get their life.
Get your
life. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up now. And we'll see you next time. I don't know what we're going to talk about. This was all like
yeah.
Ray was like, yo, let's talk about people hurting people. And then we were just like, okay, let's go, roll.
Yes. Boom. Thank you, guys.
Freestyling life. Freestyling life, freestyling conversations with the Indigos. Come as you are. That's how we love you.
Soon. We will be Indigo shirts coming soon, guys. I know it's new news to you, Grace. Indigo
everything
shirts soon.
Oh man, everything's coming soon. So just stay with us. We love you all. We love the fact that you're all loving it. So we'll keep you all updated with everything, all our moves and stuff. So
Grace will know because she's about that life. Bye guys. Take care.
Bye.